Welcome to Con Carne. I'm James Van Osdell. We are at Gene and Jude's. It is a favorite in the Midwest, a favorite in the greater Chicagoland area. But before I introduce my guests, before we eat Gene and Jude's food, I should mention Con Carne is presented by Alex Ross Art, alexrossart.com. Alex Ross, truly one of the all-time greats in the world of comics and graphic novels. If you've never seen his stuff, now's the time to catch up. His photorealistic paintings of all those characters from DC and Marvel and beyond. He's done so much stuff with pop culture. Alex Ross is awesome, and you can check his stuff out at alexrossart.com. In fact, while you're there, you can buy an original. Imagine an original piece of Alex Ross art in your home. That's an attention getter. That's something that the family and friends will comment on when they come by your house. alexrossart.com.
It's Con Carne. Let's eat in the car. It's Con Carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Osdell.
So, okay, we're at Gene and Jude's. I am joined by Miirrors. I'm joined by most of Miirrors. Here's the thing: there are 5 members of Miirrors. Today was a testing of Con Carne's limitations. We only have 4 members of the band. We physically couldn't do it. We could not fit all the members. So who's left?
Patrick's walking around. He's in the parking lot.
Yeah, Patrick is
over there right now.
He went on a very gracious.
Is he going to be angry? Will you hear about this in practice?
I don't think so.
No,
I think he's.
Is he antisocial?
No, he's kind of a feral cat, but a cool feral cat.
You gotta like bring him in with treats and stuff like that.
I understand that. I relate to that. So Miirrors is here. Motion and Picture is the new album. It is on Pravda. In a previous episode of Con Carne, I was joined by Brian McSweeney and Sean Rios of Miirrors. We did that virtually back in those dark days when you had to do everything virtually. So glad to bring us all together in the car to talk about Miirrors, Motion and Picture, and there's no better way to have a discussion about music than over hot dogs.
Gene's and Jude's hot dogs at that.
Rios, you were telling me you've been going here since you were 4 years old?
Yeah. When my mom and my father, who I thought was my stepdad, who were dating, obviously I was the third wheel. That's how it went for a long time. So we started coming here when I was 4. This was like 1980. And I've never stopped bringing friends and dates ever since, and it's just been wonderful.
And here you are with friends and dates tonight.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so who all's in the back seat?
This is Dimitri. I'm one of the Miirrors that you rarely see in these things.
He's a mirror.
Yeah, ironic that you can't see someone in the mirrors.
I know, right?
And Andre.
Hi, guys. Thanks for fleshing out the Miirrors lineup as
in between bites.
In between
Patrick's
bites.
out there.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to actually open my hot dog.
I mean, this
too.
hot dog really is amazing. Now, I gotta say.
It's incredible.
Well, any hot dog that is wrapped in a bed of freshly cut French fries, A+.
A+.
They have a special casing with Vienna. Vienna makes a certain casing for their dogs.
Wow.
Only for Gene's and Jude's.
How do you know that? Well, you've been going here since you were a small child.
Yeah, they started out as 2 city workers.
Sean could be like
they worked in the sewers for the city of Chicago in the 40s.
There's a hot dog under this.
And yeah, there is.
Like, I want to show it off, and it looks great. It's a nice depression dog. It's just buried under the weight of French fries. Really hot, greasy, delicious, salty French fries.
It's the best.
Let's talk about the album. It's awesome. Nice job, guys.
Thank you. Thinking so.
You guys, I think timing-wise, what's today, the 27th?
Correct.
All right, I'll get this up in time. You're playing GMan on the 28th. I was worried I wouldn't get it done in time. Now I'll get this up. So Friday the 28th, you'll be at GMan.
Yeah, tomorrow.
We can see you play, or today, depending on when you're watching or listening. Some old favorites made it on this album. Gunshot Glitter, Wolf in Sheepskin, Nightwalk, Sinistry. I guess we should take a step back. We've covered this before, but it's been a couple years and a couple hundred episodes. Tell me about the origins of Miirrors. And I guess I'll throw it to whichever member of Miirrors doesn't have his mouth full.
Sean, do you have your mouth full?
No, I don't. I met Brian on an airplane about 22, 23 years ago. And during that time, we kept a long friendship of just staying in touch musically and being around each other.
Was it the kind of thing you just instantly were kindred spirits, like you got each other?
I think there was that going on. Yeah, there was a big understanding, but no playing.
Mm-hmm.
And over time, I think through circumstance, I was not as busy at the time. 10 years ago, Brian had been out of a band that he was in for a long time, so we just felt like it was a time to start playing for fun. There was no expectation, not really an understanding of what it could become yet. And then from there, we felt that after the first 1 or 2 sessions, when we already had about somewhere between 10 and 13 ideas under our belt, it made sense to start getting people involved in it. And I already had like a sort of a working Rolodex in my mind of who would be the first person to bring in. And I had seen Dimitri, open for Brian at a show in Wheaton years before that. So I always kept him in the back of my mind, and I had seen Dimitri working production backstage at Concord Music Hall. And I was there with my wife at the time, and I saw him in the parking lot, and it happened to be right after my session with Brian. So immediately that happened. He remembered me, and that became a thing really quickly. And then sometime later, we decided that we needed to start making a record. The record needed to happen. Regardless of having a band, we just wanted to record these songs. So what's interesting is that the record was shaped around putting a band together in real time as it was happening. Andre Miller was the fourth person to get involved, and we really didn't become Miirrors as the 5-piece that we are now until about 2.5 years ago. So really Miirrors as a band, as a collective, is about 2.5 years old, where the songs took a longer road than that. And then, some of the songs. And, of course, pandemic slowed down that process, over the years. But
And the band started in the studio as opposed to live performance for,
Yeah,
for all
correct.
the reasons.
Well,
Correct.
With Sean, I feel like is, there's a part that's it's like that Sean and Brian were tight, and like when I met Sean at that show. I think he was, I don't know, one of the Wilco guys. I don't know, somebody's playing, and it's a regular work night for me. This dude appears, and I had been so sick of playing in bands. Like, I was done playing in bands, and and there was a moment where it was just like, hey, let's just get together and play, like Sean was saying. And that moment lasted for a very long time. Like, it was just like, because if it was like, hey, let's start a band, no, I don't think anyone would have showed up. Personally, I wouldn't have showed up. I'm not playing another
it was
band.
very agendaless.
I'm
Yeah, it
not
was
doing
nice.
this. Like, I'm gonna hang out with my friends.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make I'm gonna put any boundaries on my creativity. I'm just gonna like do stuff. And I think that's kind of a thing I haven't heard really talked about much, is because the band formed through the friendship, I guess, that we all have together.
I agree. Yeah. And we're lucky it did. We're lucky that things stuck together the way that they did. We've had some challenges geographically over the years. 3 of us live in Chicago. The other 2 live in Nashville and Erie, Pennsylvania.
Oh, wow. So the reason that you're all here is because of the GMan show.
Yeah, we're here with intention.
wow.
We're here because
Yeah.
we've been on the road the last few weeks, and it really is a geographically challenged band, but it doesn't seem to affect us all that much right now.
I love it. Let's talk a little bit about the album. Love the sound. It opens with Parallax. I'm a fan of album sequencing. I'm a fan of...
It was the first song we wrote.
That's cool.
Yeah, when we
Well,
had that session, 10 years ago, yeah. It was the very first song that we wrote.
Well, I think it's a great way to set the table for the album. It's a nice slow burner
Yeah,
that absolutely just comes together.
yeah. I agree.
So you came out fully formed when you started the band.
we
You
came
kinda-
out as an adult out of the womb. Imagine that.
I mean, if that was your first one,
Yeah.
you had a really clear vision, and the rest of the album builds on that vision. The first
did.
song you released was the Buckley cover,
Correct. Gunshot Glitter.
and that's on the album as well.
Yeah, it is.
Sinistry, I think I probably mentioned this last time we talked. I don't remember, but it seems like something I would say. It seems like a signature song for
Thank
the
you.
band.
Yeah.
Very emblematic.
It was a later song for us too. It wasn't something that came out right away. It was something that came out later in the formation. I think when the 4 of us were together.
It's the first song that we kind of built as a band, and I think you can hear that. When we talked the first time we talked, James, over the lockdown, we talked. And I think it was around the release of the Situation Chicago 2 album, which Sinistry is on. The live version of Sinistry is on that album. And listening to the live version and listening to the album version, we really, at moments, it's indistinguishable, you know? Because I think when we were building the album, Sean and I recorded the basic tracks at Electrical Audio, and we did overdubs over the course of, subsequent years. But when we wrote Sinistry and kind of put it together, arranged it, we did that as a band. So everyone kind of knew their parts. And when we went to the studio to record it, we just played down what we had already arranged. Novel idea. Our band's been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
But it was the first time we had done that as this band, and I was so happy with kind of the energy. And I think you're right to say that it's like a signature song for us as individuals coming together, and I think it's a great example of our collective energy. So much so that after we recorded it, Sean and I and Andre were seeing a show in Milwaukee. A handful of years ago. And I'd had a couple drinks, and I was trying to convince them that we needed to re-record the whole album to capture the energy of
True story.
Sinistry.
Oh my God.
And I'm not. I haven't let go of that yet. I think it might happen one day. We might actually.
He brought it up last week to me.
A live performance.
He brought it up last week.
Because you go on the road and songs form
course.
differently, and now we've been playing these songs as a band.
We're really proud of that too.
So we'll see.
Oh my God.
I think keep your forward momentum going. I think this is a fine document of who Miirrors is in this moment. Keep that momentum going.
Yeah.
That'll be a vanity project down the road.
Sure.
I also think the other members of the band will kill you if you do that.
Possibly.
But if we do it live, see, the thing is, while we believe in forward energy, we also believe in leaving no stone unturned. We're very detailed.
You are.
And that's partially why the record took as long as it did, but there's also other reasons behind that. But yeah, it's interesting to hear how much the band has changed in a short time.
Well, I love the song Knockoff. Again, the album, it's out now. It's motion and picture. Big, hooky song, but still eclectic enough to be Miirrors.
It is.
Like, you get the hook in there, but it still is kind of, it's you guys.
Awesome.
And it's fuzzy. It's a cool song.
Sounds like movie music.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well.
There it is. You said it. I mentioned the slow burn of Parallax. Where Do We Go is another song that builds and builds. That first minute, it just keeps building. It's kind of jammy. It's kind of pop. It's kind of proggy. It's all sorts of things.
It's very Genesis.
I was listening to Supper's
What we've
Ready
been
on the way
told.
here. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And they were very pop and proggy, and
Yeah.
you did it. All right.
Well, Brian Deck was telling us when he was
Producer
mixing that
Brian
song,
Deck.
it was the second from last song for the record that he mixed. Excuse me, I'm burping up. Jeans and
Welcome to Gene and Jude's, yeah.
That's okay. And he had, I think he called me. Yeah, he called me. He's like, how the fuck are you doing this whole song essentially backwards on the drum kit? And he's like, this just sounds so Phil Collins, Peter Gabriel, Genesis-y to me. Something along those lines. And I thought that was such
That's a
an
great
honor.
compliment,
I had
yeah.
a good laugh, but then I thought about, Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. And I was like, God, that's wonderful. What a great compliment to hear that from Brian Deck.
Well, let's stay on the drums.
I love that song.
Spasmatic. I feel like the percussion is the real star of that song.
It was
Would the rest of the band agree?
yeah. It's the one song I think where I was given a lot more freedom. I was given sort of a palette to play with, and I just felt like the drum set on its own couldn't justify being in the song. There had to be a wall of something, and I had to make sense of what that was. So I'm a big fan of doubling, tripling up on duties, on percussion, and trying to make something a little different without taking away from the song. So that was a real honor to have that happen on that tune. We have some other ideas for future stuff that we have, but I think a lot of it is making space for everyone, trying to find out where that balance is and who has something to say and when it needs to happen. A lot of times we try to carve out things that happen for a lot of what Dimitri is bringing into the song. I think a lot of times Dimitri will bring that extra element. Dimitri and Patrick both do this. They'll bring that defining element that we didn't know, that hole that we didn't know was there that needed filling. And oftentimes they bring that last color to the painting and it comes together and it just really makes the song that much richer. And lucky for us, that just seems to keep happening. We have a lot of new stuff that we've been working on, a lot of new material. And we won't say too much about that, but it seems to be happening very deliberately, very fast. And
So perhaps it won't take as long.
it's not at all.
Correct.
It's very, very fast process right now to have a second.
You're hitting your
batch of
stride.
Music. Yeah.
You're feeling each other out. You kind of know how all the pieces fit.
Yeah, we do.
Going back to this idea of album sequencing, which I'm a fan of, and I feel like it's a lost art, or
It's
they're
crucial.
losing
It needs to exist.
It is
needs to
crucial.
happen.
If you're putting together a package of, let's say, 10 songs, there needs to be a journey laid out for those songs.
Yeah.
So I mentioned Parallax as the appropriate opener. Interesting way to wrap up the album. The outlier is Olivet.
Yeah.
It's kind of an instrumental lullaby. Tell me about that song.
Well, we were overdubbing. We're doing some overdubs several years ago now, and I
At
guess
Shape
it
Shop.
was just like Shape Shop in South
Nick
Loop.
Brosty.
And I guess it was just an in-between overdubs for existing songs. I don't know whether it was Sean or Dimitri who started playing first.
He had that piano that
Yeah.
had that awesome depth.
Sean, you played
he played the xylophone.
xylophone.
Vibraphone. Yeah, I was playing
Vibraphone.
vibraphone.
Sweet.
Yeah, Nick was setting up mics, and we were just fucking around between songs.
I had this progression that I've had. It's a triplet. It's a weird. I was messing around with patterns, and it's like there's this triplet going over duplets kind of thing. And I was just messing around with arpeggios. And his piano. Can you hear me all right through here?
Yeah, yeah.
His
Okay.
piano. There's just like that. I love that muted tone on a piano on an upright, and he had that perfect dampener pedal, and I was just having fun. And then Sean just kind of started messing around, and then he just hit the record button.
Yeah, it was this beautiful 3/4 kind of Philip Glass sort of. That sounds so pretentious, but it's not. It was this.
That's one of my biggest influences.
This beautiful
it's
Philip
like,
Glass
I was
moment.
trying to
This
rip
sort
off
of
Philip
spiral,
Glass.
and it's one of the few times where you're messing around between tracks and watching Nick play some mic and watching Brian, I think, tune his guitar or doing something, and we realized there's something happening here. We had no idea that would become something for the record.
Yeah,
And
no
I'm
idea.
kind of surprised. It's just normally not the way that we work.
But we do normally.
And it
We've
happened.
gotten used to
It's
just
great.
going, "Hey, remember that idea? Track it, and just it'll sit around maybe forever."
Yeah.
And we had a
Dimitri's
few
right.
other songs, pardon me, that we tracked, like maybe even in the first session we did at Electrical Audio, the first or the second, that were pretty fully formed ideas, and they ended up not making the album because they just weren't. They didn't find their place. They didn't find
Right.
like the place where they worked, and we thought, well, this other piece is really beautiful, and it would be like a nice accent on the album, so let's just put these other ones aside and call this one the 10th song.
I like it.
And 10 songs to me is the perfect album length.
Absolutely.
So 10 songs, 45 minutes, that's it. I mean, you obviously, there are many variations, but that's just, I noticed that my favorite albums of my life are usually 10 songs and around 45 minutes.
Well, there's like the OCD thing, 5 songs
Yeah.
per side,
Yeah.
perfectly balanced,
Yeah.
20 minutes per side. Like you kind of,
Balance matters, though.
It comes in at 42 minutes, and I think the optimal time for vinyl to reach like maximum to reach
Maximum
optimal
overdrive.
to reach optimal fidelity. I think
Yeah.
it needs to be somewhere between 42 to 44 minutes for vinyl for that to sound its best. So lucky for us, it just worked out that way.
That's really like a thing.
And Olivet,
Oh, yeah.
when I listen to Olivet, still I just imagine end credits, just
Yes.
moving.
again, it's that journey. You're taking people through it. It makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah,
By the way, I want everyone to be proud of Brian. He's finally accomplished getting through the French fries so he can begin the hot
No,
dog.
I've been watching it from over here. I know.
I'm not there yet. I've been trying to
This
get
is
to the hot
actually
dog.
my second hot dog.
I didn't realize that.
Bravo.
I wasn't-
I'm taking small bites.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
We- we-
You're a big boy now.
It's so good.
it is so good.
It is great. These
Relishing
peppers
my
are incredible.
root beer right now.
Yeah, this is the classic Depression dog. Their fries, I think, are some of the best. I love hand-cut fries. These are legit. They're the real thing here. And this place is always busy. Like, people, it's kind of fascinating. People are going to tailgate. They bring the outdoor chairs and they park them next to the cars and they just hang out and eat hot dogs in the parking
Yeah,
lot.
the most common thing you'll see out here is people eating on their hoods. It's the only time I ever eat on my hood. When I bring my friends out here, we always eat on the hood.
And I can't judge because I eat, a couple meals a week in the car with company, with strangers.
You're on the go, man.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's,
I'm assuming this expression you just used has to do with the Great Depression.
yes. Yes, these are Depression dogs. This is the way they kind of.
Oh, I thought you meant people literally like with low
They get depressed and eat hot dogs.
Yeah, like where's
This
it?
is
Serotonin
self-care.
levels? Yeah.
Hot dogs are self-care.
I don't disagree with that.
Not at all. All right, so again, Friday the 28th. If you're watching or listening to this in time, you can go see Miirrors at GMan in Wrigleyville, which is awesome. The album, which we've been discussing, is motion and picture. It is available now. It is a really complete vision and a real promising full-length debut from this band. Plenty more to come. Obviously, we've got more songs kind of in the queue, ready to fire off. Onward and upward. What else should we know about what's to come for Miirrors?
We have a small, I don't know if you can call it a film, but a small black and white, small little mini documentary that we made during the lockdown. And we released 2 singles from it. Previously, Gunshot Glitter and Sinistry, which won up on the Situation Chicago vinyl comp, but we are finally putting out the whole episode. It's going to be the first episode of others to come from that show, that thing, that concept called Definitive Version, recorded at Narwhal Studios with Brian Deck.
That's awesome.
It was great. It was a really fun time to make it. A lot of people were doing like the virtual tip jar and recording stuff from their phone, but we wanted to play some sort of a live set in a studio and do something since we couldn't play shows. So that was sort of our way of exercising some kind
I'm
of
glad you guys did that. I'm
technical catharsis.
I love seeing bands embrace
Yeah.
video as another way to put their art out there to communicate.
Yeah, we had to do something. I mean, a lot of stuff we started rolling out just before the pandemic hit. It was 3 months before when Gunshot Glitter hit, and things started to pick up really fast, and it was exciting for us. And then that happened. It's like, what do we do? So we made the video for Nightwalk. We put Nightwalk out as a single, and that worked really well. And we began working on Definitive Version. We shot that over 2 days, and that's going to finally be coming out probably in the next month before we go on the road to the East Coast. We
You're
are
keeping
writing.
busy.
Yeah, we are. We're playing a lot. We're on the road right now. We just got back into town. We go back out after G-Man the next day to Kalamazoo, and then in
damn.
September we have a run to Nashville, a run to New York,
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee. Yeah, just a lot of different
Cactus Club, yeah.
things going on the plate right now. We're writing constantly. We have probably about 16, 17, 18 songs.
This is a fertile time for Miirrors.
It's a really fertile time, yeah, because we understand each other, and I think having the exercise of going out and playing this every night, I mean, it's nothing new to that, but for us, we've just been waiting to do it. So we just want to stay as busy as possible.
And as
keep creating.
frequently as you've been on the road, and you're going to be on the road, I've got to think those close quarters were essentially training for doing this podcast.
I would agree with that. I would agree. I would
You're
agree
not
that
wrong.
while the Cherokee has its limits, this is the Mazda, right?
This is the Mazda.
Yeah, this is the Mazda. This is the Van Osmobile. This is how it all happens. But no, we're just trying to stay as busy as possible, and I'm amazed that living as apart as we do, we just seem to keep making the time to meet up in Chicago. It's
intentionality. Like
Miirrors,
if you don't have a schedule and you don't have parameters, it's easy to waste time. But when we all come to Chicago, we have intention and we have parameters, and it makes it a little easier to focus and really get stuff done.
Well, I love the way you sound. Keep doing what you do.
Thanks.
Again, G-Man on the 28th of July, and more to come after that. Thank you, Miirrors.
Thank you, James.
Thank you,
Thank
most
you.
of Mirrors.
I've been wanting
Patrick
to be in this
Riley
car
is
for
very
a long time.
outside.
Flatterer.
I got a little jealous when I saw you and Scott Lucas at what was it, over at Wiener Circle, and you guys were hanging out in the bar. I remember watching that episode. I'm like, man, I gotta get on that show. I've been seeing this show for a long time. I saw when you were hanging out with Josh Caterer.
Yeah.
I got jealous again.
You know, he does the theme song.
I know. Hi, Josh. I miss you.
I want to get people covering
I
that.
miss Josh a lot.
I think that theme song is ripe for covering.
I mean, man, we can make one that'll make you want to kill yourself if you want. We can do it. We can get
Yes?
Yeah, we can definitely
Should I say yes to that?
make one sad. We can make one thoughtful and introspective. We can do that.
All right. Thank you, Mirrors.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, James.
Appreciate you.